grief from living under the pressure of centuries worth of a divide and conquer tactic that has stripped us from our communal safety. And from this ideology, it was understood that healing is communal, identity is collective, power is practiced in togetherness. We don't have the same desired outcome. There wasn't always solidarity because some of my friends, they preferred assimilation or proximity to unity. There's a healing that many of us have had to begin on our own, a sacred unveiling into transformation and evolution. What has become for many of us like an initiation into the next chapter of our becoming. And while solitude most definitely has its season, it is not the end of the road. It is just the beginning of something so much bigger. I'm Cheyenne, the visionary and liberation strategist behind Unveiling Ann, and I've created this video for the Black woman who has done the self-work, who has evolved, but still feels the pain of the loss of community and the weight of knowing that she hasn't found where she fits yet. What I'm offering in this video is a path from isolation to evolution. And that path starts with understanding that sisterhood is not optional. It's a sacred infrastructure that we are responsible for rebuilding together and on purpose. So if we understand that we need to move from this individualized sense of safety into this greater sense of community and connection, it's important to get to the root of the issue and to understand that what keeps us with this invisible wall between us is a sense of distrust. But deeper beyond that distrust, what we feel deep in our souls is actually grief. Grief for what we desire and don't have. And an even deeper layer to understanding this grief is understanding that this grief isn't just individual, it's generational grief. A grief from feeling unseen, undervalued, unprotected, and most importantly and most deeply, not feeling that from one another. It's grief from living under the pressure of centuries worth of a divide and conquer tactic that has stripped us from our communal safety. And while we have this grief that is deeply settled within our DNA structure from passed down memory, there is the other side of the coin where we have this memory of connection and what we've lost, something that our soul is desperate to return to. In many African traditional practices, the circle was a sacred symbol. The circle represented a sense of wholeness, healing, and continuity. This circuitry where a depth of power is found. And from this ideology, it was understood that healing is communal, and identity is collective, and power is practiced in togetherness. And when an infrastructure like that is missing, it is deeply painful, whether it's realized from a conscious perspective or a deeply internal spiritual one. It leaves this gap. And the type of liberation that we long for deep within our souls, that can't have deep roots or longevity outside of collective alignment. And as I reflect on my own personal life, I can see how this chasm has shaped me, and how in my earliest experiences with other little Black girls, there was this invisible wall between us where the first interaction for me was guarded by a sense of mistrust. Where do you line up? How safe am I with you? Because I had had experiences that showed me we don't have the same desired outcome. There were situations I was in where I realized that there wasn't always solidarity because some of my friends, they preferred assimilation or proximity to unity. And there were other instances where, because I was light-skinned or a friend was dark-skinned, there was this hesitation to trust because the other person had to decide if I would use my proximity due to my skin tone as a weapon against them. And I don't fault anyone in those situations because as young children, we're all navigating survival. But it taught us that in engaging with one another, there could be an instance where there is what feels to be betrayal or a dishonor of self, or where there's this internal battle of superiority and inferiority amongst each other that hurts so deeply because we all feel that within this greater system outside of ourselves, where you would think that the unity between one another would be even stronger. And from that place, early in my life, I became very passionate about speaking out and trying my best to create a collective, a community, a safe space for us to grow together, to communicate together, and to experience what we deserve. Now, along that path, I really didn't execute things well. I definitely burned bridges. I definitely went through that space of ego where I was on my, I guess you could say, pedestal of preaching what I felt like was valuable. And I've hurt people along the way, and I'm not proud of that, but that gave me the ability to, I'm trying to find my words, it gave me the ability to really have compassion for those moments where someone hurt me because I've hurt someone. And it gave me this understanding that we're all doing what we can to make this situation better for ourselves. And we've been taught that we have to have our own back. And that brings me back to the original point. I've found in each of these situations this common thread that has really settled deep within my spirit, that we can only transcend to the next level in unity and sisterhood and connection. And my belief in this is backed by neuroscience, and it teaches us something really important. It tells us that the mirror neurons in our brain, it builds our identity based on what we see reflected to us in our community. So while healing in isolation in these spaces that we create to protect ourselves from a sense of pain or rejection, it may start the process, but sustained transformation comes when we're mirrored in aligned community. And so while I do understand how solitude can feel like ease, I want to remind you that ease doesn't always equal peace or wholeness. Sometimes it's just survival with less noise, and that can create a false sense of safety and a false sense of growth. What I'm trying to communicate here is that while solitude and healing in a state of solitude is necessary, we can also look at it as preparation, whereas community is integration for whatever we have learned and gathered in that healing space. And from there, we can achieve this greater sense of transformation or transcendence, if you will, that becomes this legacy that we can be proud of, that connects us back to the whole, or the idea of the symbol of the circle that I previously mentioned. And for me, it's become important to address this topic as many of us have done as much healing as we can do before it's time to make aligned action, to move forward in the process. And I don't want to see us move from this place of healing and return to a trauma-based form of sisterhood and connection. I want to see us build intentional ecosystems of accountability, evolution, and emotional safety amongst each other. So this idea is supported in sociology, where it's believed that systems are only sustainable when there are aligned values and mutually reinforced growth. And that's what I'm proposing with this idea of sacred sisterhood and the importance of that connection being restored to our community. And I definitely think that we as Black women deserve that sense of real sisterhood, which is a real depth of truth, care, alignment, and the ability to expand and be seen in that space. And it is my personal belief that that is the kind of connection that doesn't just feel good, but it becomes a healing structure, and it becomes its own sort of spiritual technology. Quantum physics teaches us that everything is energy, and that includes our thoughts, our intentions, and our frequency. And one thing that we know is that when Black women come together with aligned intention, everything around us shifts. The quantum field itself changes, and the ripple effect of that alignment is felt beyond us, not just in our personal experiences, but in our families and in our communities. And what I want us to begin to build is a sustainable emission of that type of frequency. No movement survives on individualism. True revolution is held in systems of trust, evolution, and co-creation. And that is why it is so important for me to emphasize this message of reconnection into this sacred sisterhood and community. I believe with my entire heart that when we step back into sacred relationship with one another, spiritually, emotionally, and creatively, we will step into divine infrastructure of collective transcendence. And that is the shift that I want desperately for each of us. The shift from isolation to evolution, from individual healing to collective building, and from survival to sovereignty. Because I believe we deserve that. And so if you have been growing in silence and healing in spaces without those mirrored values, this space is for you. And I would ask that you subscribe, stay connected, and share this video with another woman that you know has this deep desire for connection, intimacy, and growth as well. If you found value in this insight and you want to know a little bit more about the revelations that have propelled me forward in my own journey, I've created a free PDF and I'll leave the link below. It is designed to give you quick snapshots into 6 revelations for evolution and liberation as a Black woman. It is not designed to overwhelm you because I know as a Black woman, we don't need one more thing to add to the list of to-dos, but I do think that reflection and actionable steps that we can implement right now are good to add on to whatever we're already doing to build and grow. And before I leave you, I just want to share one little story. Well, it's not necessarily a story. It's a dream that I had, and it really propelled me into this space right now. And I want to leave it with you to maybe reflect on. And it started with me coming into a room with this big, beautiful, elegant table. And the table was surrounded by elders, these elderly Black women who were regal, and they looked like they had been through the seasons of life but came out victorious. And I started to look at them, and they looked like some of the people that I recognized from my childhood photos. And that's when I connected that these were representatives of my ancestors. And these women, they were smiling and they were fixing these dishes in front of their places at the table. And as the dream continued, I realized that these dishes represented their specialty, right? Their special dish, whether it was like macaroni and cheese, and I'm just giving an example, or like collard greens. Each of them had a specialty that they brought to the table that they were really proud of and that really contributed to the fullness of the spread. And I was looking and I was in awe and amazement, and I was smiling, and I was so grateful to be a part of something so beautiful. But when I looked in front of me, there was this empty placeholder, and it was just me and my seat. And it was in that moment I looked up and I thought, I want to bring something special to the table. And when I had that epiphany in the dream, one of the elderly women, she looked and she pointed away. And as I looked to the side, there was this vast, you could say, valley that I had to traverse. And it was dropped into my understanding that I had to go out and I had to traverse that valley. And then when I came back, it was my responsibility to come back with my own special dish that I could only create through the experiences of life and what I learned and what I took from it through my own individual unique lens. And then it would be added when I came back to that beautiful table that would be a continuation of generational knowledge, wealth, and abundance, or, if push comes to shove, the opposite. And I chose in that moment that I wanted to take on that responsibility and to build and grow. And so when I woke up from that dream, I was renewed in my strength, that it was very important for me to harness my own inner strength and my own individual talents. And it also gave me a sense of peace knowing that I don't have to figure everything out. I just have to really perfect one aspect of the journey. And I want to leave that with you today. If you feel overwhelmed in this journey of Black liberation and you feel like there's so many moving pieces or there's so many things to be done, which is a very valid feeling, but I want to take that off of your chest and off of your shoulders right now and just remind you or make you aware of the fact that all you have to do is what you can do. Figure out what you are really good at, perfect that, and then bring it back to the collective. Be intentional about where you're placing your energy, your time, and your resources. We as Black women are under resourced with community and structures that are meant to support us in our unique experiences. So be mindful of where you're investing your attention, your energy, and your talents, because we need you. And I hope that meant a lot to you. If you got this far in the video, I just want to say thank you. And I ask that you leave a little heart down in the comments so that I know you made it this far. And share with me one thing or one insight that you have to add to the conversation, because we are all building and growing and all of our voices are necessary. And with that being said, I hope that you are blessed in everything that you do and that everything that your hand touch prospers. I'll see you next time.